The first observation I made upon entering my boyhood house was that my mother had disappeared. Not in a physical sense, she has been absent for 2 years. Yet every indication of her existence has been painstakingly preserved, removed where her cherished sunflower artwork once illuminated the foyer. Replaced by an abstract work in cool blues, and the wall was now dominated by grays. Including her antique side table, which she had cherished her repaired self, had been supplanted by a sleek, modern console. I was standing in what seemed to be an unfamiliar residence. "Dear Francesca, you are early," the voice emanated from the kitchen. Both saccharine and unexpectedly incisive, my father's new wife appeared, drying her hands on an unfamiliar apron. "We were not anticipating your arrival, for another traffic was mild during the hour." I managed to keep my throat constricted. "Where is Dad? Is he still in the office? You are aware of his behavior regarding his cases?" She waved around the transformed room. "Do you appreciate what I have accomplished? The location needs a rejuvenation. Wouldn't you agree?" Before I could respond, the front door opened once more, revealing my brother Jeremy entered with his tie unbuttoned and his jacket draped over his shoulder. His eyes met mine, and I observed my own discomfort mirrored therein as he swiftly drew me in. "I remarked that you appeared fatigued due to the lengthy travel." To which Francesca applauded. "Why do you not assist me in setting the table?" I had prepared my special risotto as we proceeded to the dining. When I entered the room, I noticed that a minimalist design had taken the place of my mother's former china cabinet. The shelf unit displayed abstract sculptures. Where was my mother's china? Francesca abruptly halted, her posture becoming rigid as she remarked on those antiquated items. "They were somewhat antiquated, weren't they? I have stored them away in a secure location." "A secure location," I reiterated. "To their family heirlooms," Jeremy cautioned quietly as the doorbell rang. Liberating us from the impending, Francesca's stress dissipated instantly. "It must be Noelle whom I invited." I observed my sister rush to the door to greet a tall woman possessing the same honey blonde hair. However, the sisters exchanged a glance with sharper features that I could not fully comprehend before Noelle's smile securely positioned. "You must be Beatrice," Noelle remarked, offering her hand. "I have heard much about you," amusingly, she said while shaking her hand. "I have heard very little about you." My father came just as Francesca was preparing dinner. He kissed her cheek, tousled my hair as if I were still 12, and assumed his position at the head of the table, occupying my mother's former chair. Beatrice Francesca commenced serving risotto onto each individual's dish. She was in her final year of college and continued to work on that project. "What was it again?" "Psychology," I mentioned. "Is progressing well?" "Ah, yes. Psychology," she responded. "Did you consider going to law school?" As suggested by the meaningful glance she shared with my father. "My father and I were conversing about your suitability for the family practice while I maneuvered the risotto on my plate. I am hoping to pursue my master's degree in counseling, and I have already received acceptance," Beatrice's father interjected, stating, "We have discussed this. The firm requires new talent. You possess the instincts of Ryan. But I have my own intentions." "Father," Francesca, my sweetheart, extended her hand across the table to pat mine, and I suppressed the want to withdraw. "Shouldn't it take precedence?" It's when I observed it. The manner in which Noelle's, her knuckles whitened around the wine glass as she slightly shook her head at her sister's words. A narrative lay beneath. A hint of family was hidden beneath the surface, I said cautiously. I intended to rehang my mother's painting in the study since I observed it had been removed. The temperature in the room appeared to decrease by 10 degrees. And Francesca's fork clinked against her dish. "Oh, darling," she remarked, her voice, laden with insincere pity, indicated our consensus to progress. "Did it not?" Ulf's father cleared his throat, stating that it is for the best. Since we cannot dwell in the past, I gazed at Jeremy, but he abruptly became engrossed in his meal. Noelle, however, observed her sister with an expression I found difficult to interpret. Was it fear? Naturally, I expressed my disgust. forcing a smile as I continued. That is what mother would do. In the house. Adorned in my mother's apron. I discerned the act of serving food on new dishes that obliterated decades of familial history memories led me to conclude that this was not about progress but rather about erasing my mother's existence. I paced in my best friend's apartment. Clutching a cup of coffee that had long since cooled, one should have observed it, every photograph. Every moment has vanished. Wendy sat with her legs crossed. She sat on the couch with her laptop resting on her knees. Have you searched for Francesca, however? There is only a collection of charity event photographs and her wedding announcement to my father, hence. Further investigation is necessary. Wendy's fingers rapidly traversed the keyboard. What did you say her sister's name was? Noelle? There was certainly a connection. There was something peculiar about their contact at supper. Wendy turned the laptop to face me and revealed that Noelle works in real estate. We could pay her a cordial call at the downtown firm. I took my jacket. Let's move forward. The real estate office consisted solely of glass. Noelle's name was boldly placed on one of the corner office doors, adorned with M and chrome. As she gazed up at our entrance, her professional smile faltered upon recognizing me. Beatrice. Unexpectedly, I was in the vicinity and, having fabricated a plausible excuse, decided to pay a visit. Formally introduce my friend Wendy. We are now seeking investment homes. Noelle's demeanor is easygoing. Please have a seat. We have spent 20 minutes discussing the property. Values and market trends prior to my deliberate redirection of the conversation towards it. Must be pleasant to have your sister around now, I remarked nonchalantly. Have you consistently resided in the same city? Noelle's fingers gripped her pen more firmly. Francesca is pretty mobile. I leaned forward for work. Noelle glanced toward the door and remarked. Beatrice. I should probably. She also relocated with her first spouse. The pen clattered into the desk. Who informed? Wendy interjected, her tone bland. Mentioning the existence of a first husband, her eyes narrowed. Noelle stood swiftly. I believe you should depart. I stated. I sense that something is off. I can feel it in my mother's recollection. She is gradually being removed from our residence. And my father behaves as though he is under some form of enchantment. Noelle's voice lowered to a whisper. Cautioning. Comprehend the implications of your involvement. Francesca possesses a talent for complicating matters. Vanish when they do not align with her narrative of issues and individuals. She glanced at her phone as it buzzed. Her face turned pale. She's here. I must depart immediately. But Beatrice is present, if you possess intelligence. Cease your inquiries. Noelle seized my arm, her fingers pressing in. Since there are matters about my sister related to the office door. Francesca stood there, immaculate in a cream-colored suit, her smile not fully reaching her eyes as the door flew wide. Her eyes widened. Isn't this cozy? She remarked as she walked inside and closed the door behind her. Beatrice. My dear. What a surprise. We were just examining investment properties when Wendy interjected. Your sister has been exceedingly helpful. Has she not? Francesca's gaze remained fixed. Noelle seems to be rather considerate. To cower before her sister's gaze while merely fulfilling my responsibilities. Naturally, you are. Francesca informed me that Beatrice's father stated you would be joining us for dinner again this evening. And I am preparing his favorite dish, my preferred pot roast. But I have arrangements with Wendy, so please cancel them. Requesting a family dinner is significant, do you not concur? Particularly now that we are all together? As we became more acquainted, the menace in her tone was nuanced yet undeniable. I compelled a smile. Naturally, I will be present. When we departed the office, I heard Francesca's voice softly. It is imperative to address the issue of boundaries in the elevator. Noelle. Please have a seat. Wendy, your stepmother's strength seized me. Did you observe? Noelle's expression upon entering was as if she had encountered a specter or the devil. Wendy. I extracted my phone and captured an image of Noelle's computer screen while she was preoccupied. Observe the tab. I squinted at the image, which displayed a news piece from 5 years prior. People suspect foul play after a local business owner goes missing. What is the relevance of this situation? Examine the photo caption indicating that Wendy directed attention to the missing man's fiancée. At that time my blood ran cold for Francesca Simmons. We need to find out what happened with him. Wendy inquired about her first marriage. Sensing that there is significantly more to charitable activities and a wedding announcement. As we exited, sunshine streamed in, and my phone vibrated with a message from Francesca, expressing anticipation for supper. My dear, we have much to discuss. I presented it to Wendy, who recoiled. Exercise caution. I believe I provoked a significant issue. And I asserted firmly that it was overdue for someone to take action. Jeremy intercepted me in the driveway before my entry into the home for Francesca's obligatory "What were you doing at Noel's office? And how did Francesca inform Dad?" Enraged, he raked a hand through his hair. What are you attempting to demonstrate? Do you not find it peculiar that we are unaware that she is methodically erasing every evidence of her mother? Individuals process grief in diverse ways. Perhaps you could also consider moving on, like my father is doing. I retrieved my phone and displayed the story regarding the missing businessman. This appears to be a transition, since it resembles more of a Jeremy examined the article, his expression revealing a trend darkening. This does not substantiate any claims, therefore assist me in providing evidence. The individual possessing the legal degree. Do you not wish to ascertain who is genuinely residing in our domicile? Cease. He seized my arm. Just cease. You are going to fracture this family. The family I liberated. This is not our family, Jeremy. It is a distorted substitute in which we feign that mother never existed. The front door opened, illuminating the driveway with warm light. As Francesca stood silhouetted in the entrance, the children's dinner is becoming cold. Their father is already sitting at the table. Expression stormy. Beatrick. What is this I hear regarding your harassment of Noel at work? I was not pestering anyone. I was merely examining properties. Do not deceive me. He struck his hand on the table. Francesca asserts that I interrupted him. Have you ever contemplated that perhaps Francesca is withholding information? That is sufficient. Father jumped up and declared, I will not tolerate you disrespecting my wife in our residence. I chuckled cruelly at your wife, questioning which one. As I recall that Mom's photographs once adorned this home as well. Francesca gently touched Dad's arm, explaining that the change was simply due to UPS. It is challenging for young individuals. She addressed me, her voice melodious. Beatrice, I understand you are struggling to accept me, but preserve it. I retrieved my phone once again. Why don't you elaborate on Marcus's hue drained from Francesca's face? Who is Marcus? Your former fiancé. The one who, Jeremy, who inexplicably vanished 5 years ago, kicked me beneath the table. Yet I disregarded him. I don't know what you're talking about, Francesca said, her hands shaking as she reached out. Her wine glass is significant because the police record indicates that no such report exists. She abruptly reacted but then restrained herself. I am uncertain about any Marcus. Father glanced between them. His features were obscured by perplexity. Francesca is fabricating stories. Dear. In an attempt to incite discord, Francesca's serenity re-emerged as a mask settling into position. Perhaps Beatrice requires some time apart from the family. As I sorted through her difficulties, my phone buzzed with a text from Wendy. Contact me for marriage documents. I have to leave now, but this matter remains unresolved. Please remain seated despite my father's command to remain. We are indeed finished. I proceeded for the exit. Subsequently, I inquired if Dad was aware that Francesca had been previously married. Presumably. She did not inform you about that either. The ensuing hush that accompanied me was overwhelming. I contacted Wendy immediately. You won't believe this. Without any preamble, Wendy declared her discovery. Thomas Wright, a prosperous real estate investor, issued her the initial marriage license. What happened to the developer? The issue is that he perished in a boating accident. He inherited everything 7 years ago but only received it 2 years later. Engaged to Marcus. Who subsequently vanishes. She is now married to your father. Who is also an individual who has completed her tasks. While her sister is systematically assuming control of all matters. Wendy's voice lowered as she stated. I received an unusual email from an individual named Terry. Who claims to have previously worked with me. Thomas Wright possesses knowledge regarding Francesca. And my phone vibrated with another incoming call from Jeremy. I instructed Wendy to arrange the meeting with Terry. And I changed the calls. What is your response? Jeremy quietly stated. You were correct. I have discovered some documents in Dad's study that Francesca has been having him registered in her name and a life insurance policy last month. She directed her frustrations at him while I clenched the steering wheel till my knuckles turned white. Jeremy. I believe my father is in peril. I am aware. He hesitated. Exercise caution following your departure. As she may pursue you. I have never observed somebody appear so frigid as when my phone illuminated with a "You ought to learn to mind your own affairs." Sweetheart. Some inquiries are best left unposed. I ignited my vehicle. My heart. We were no longer contending solely with a woman attempting to obliterate my mother's memories. We were confronting something more significant. Significantly more time was spent on the meeting. Terry selected a bustling coffee cafe in the downtown area. He was already present. Upon my arrival, I observed him fiddling with a substantial manila packet. I recognized him from my father's legal practice. He had been their real estate advisor for years before inexplicably departing within 3 months after the firm holiday parties. Thank you for meeting with me, I stated as I took a seat opposite him. I should have approached you earlier. Terry urged. Francesca has a tendency to complicate issues. Vanish like Marcus. He recoiled. I collaborated with Thomas Wright first, husband. The watercraft incident was not an accident. My hand became immobilized midway to my, what do you mean by Thomas being scared of water and never approaching it, however. He abruptly resolves to sail alone. Prompting Terry to lean forward regarding the insurance. The reward was considerable. Akin to what Marcus's would have been had his body ever been discovered. Did you report this to the authorities? He tapped the envelope with circumstantial evidence. But I have been compiling proof, including bank records and property documentation. I opened the package with the transferred insurance policies and observed a trend. There were documents, photographs, and newspaper articles. One photograph depicted Francesca with Thomas, in which she appeared younger. A similar planned smile was present in another image, depicting her with Marcus standing in front of a construction site, which she perceives as affluent. Terry elucidated that it isolates males from their families and exerts control over their assets. Subsequently, they vanish. I have completed your father's subsequent composition, and she is already present. I started the process by instructing him to transfer property ownership and obtain life insurance. It is the identical playbook she employed with Thomas and Marcus. My phone vibrated with a text message. Jeremy's father is behaving unusually. Francesca has him consuming new vitamins she purchased, claiming they are for. I displayed the message to Terry, causing his complexion to drain. While Thomas experienced worry. The autopsy revealed residues of substances in his system, but no vitamins were present. Conclusive. I require copies of all my statements. I retrieved my phone to picture the documents that Terry had already provided. Provide me with a USB disk, but use caution. Following Marcus's disappearance, I commenced an investigation. Subsequently, I discovered that an intruder had entered my residence, although nothing was stolen. My files had evidently been rummaged through. Why are you assisting me? Because of Marcus being a friend of Terry, whose voice faltered. And because of your involvement. My father is a virtuous guy. He does not merit what is forthcoming. My phone vibrated once more. Francesca, I am having dinner with your father today. It is unfortunate that you will not be joining us. As I am attempting a new recipe, I must leave. I rose up abruptly. Thank you. Terry beat Rick. He grasped my arm. Have you ever contemplated the door of the coffee shop in relation to your mother's death? Noel entered, observed us, and halted as 2 men in dark suits followed her inside. Terry shouted, Get out now, as I grasped the envelope and USB drive at the back door as I navigated through the busy shop towards the kitchen. I heard Noelle's voice behind me, indicating she had recently been there. The alley was deserted as I hurried to my car, my hands trembling while I attempted to open it with my phone once more. Dear Beatrice, curiosity may have dire consequences. Eliminate another target. Your father appears somewhat pallid this evening, possibly requiring additional vitamins. Francesca. I have made a call, Jeremy. Do not permit Dad to consume any additional vitamins, I instructed as soon as he responded. And do not allow him to eat whatever Francesca provides him. Why? Just trust me, I am en route home. Do not. I released him from my sight and merged into traffic, scrutinizing my rearview mirror for the men in suits when my phone rang. It was Terry. They are posing inquiries, he stated hastily. I will attempt to delay them, nevertheless. There was a collision followed by quiet. Terry. Nothing at a red light. I swiftly captured images of each document from the package and transmitted them to both Wendy and Jeremy. A black SUV arrived next to me, and the driver was one of the men from the coffee shop. When the light went green, the SUV was defective. My phone rang again, displaying Dad's number, however. It was Francesca's voice on the line. Beatrice. Your father is unwell. You may want to visit. Bid farewell. I suggest you visit him. If something occurs, you will understand. Her reaction gently chuckled. Inform the authorities, as Terry did regarding Marcus, or similarly to Noelle attempted to recount some anecdotes about Thomas. Certain narratives are better left untold. The SUV was, they are still behind me, gaining pace. But do not be concerned. Francesca, I will provide diligent care for your father, akin to how I attended to your mother when she began to inquire excessively. The phone fell from my grasp. My mother's demise was not due to natural causes. Since the SUV collided with my rear bumper, Francesca was now pursuing the remainder of us. I lost the SUV by entering a congested mall parking garage and terminating the pursuit. My hands trembled uncontrollably when I contacted Jeremy to extract Dad from that situation. I previously stated that he could speak. He has now done so. We are in my flat, and he is present. He is in a precarious condition and can scarcely maintain his footing. Please summon an ambulance. Francesca has been attempting to reach out. She has been persistently indicating that she is bringing a private physician. Please do not permit her entry. I am en route. Jeremy hesitated. His mother's death was not natural. The quiet on the other end was palpable, deafeningly. I have finally discovered Mom's journal concealed in the study while searching for the documents. She sensed something was amiss and intended to confront Francesca. That day I experienced a tightening in my throat at learning of the death. Why did you not inform me? This was due to my reluctance to accept the death, however. After reviewing those bank records, the insurance plans may be questionable. We received a message from Wendy that illuminated my phone. The police will not assist, although lacking actual evidence. I discovered something in the files you forwarded. I arrived at Jeremy's place at the time of recording. Father lay splayed on the couch, his skin seeming gray and clammy, devoid of vitality. Bottles of vitamins illuminated the coffee table. The ambulance is 5 minutes away. Jeremy, Francesca is downstairs. Security will not detain her for long. Dad. He knelt beside him and asked, can you hear me? His eyelids fluttered open. Beatrice. I apologize, I should have heeded your words. Conserve your energy. I collected the vitamin bottles. The paramedics require this information. The door buzzed, and Wendy's voice emanated from the intercom, requesting entry. Francesca is in a dispute with security. Jeremy granted her access, and she entered with her laptop and documents in hand. I cross-referenced them with Mom's old medical records. She opened her computer, and the symptoms correspond. In those vitamins lies the same substance that caused her father's demise. Jeremy held his head as he began to cough violently while I contacted the front desk. I instructed them to deny access to anyone, particularly late at night. Wendy was at the window upon entering the elevator. The hallway security camera footage on Jeremy's phone displayed Francesca alongside two male individuals from the coffee shop were ascending the fire escape as Jeremy had already begun to move towards it. Assist Dad. Wait while I retrieve Mom's journal from my backpack. Listen to this. I discovered a concealed box in the garage has all evidence regarding Thomas and Marcus. I informed you before my research that the entry concludes on the day of her demise in the garage. Jeremy's eyes widened. His father's old toolbox remained in place. His mother used to conceal items within it. Footsteps approached from outside. Accompanied by a key, the emergency master key is lodged in the lock. Instructed Dad to proceed to the hospital. Jeremy. I am proceeding to the house. You cannot. Wendy seized my arm. Stating that those men are present, I concentrated on locating us here. I proceeded to the fire escape. Text me when Dad is safe as the door commenced to open. I exited via the window just as Francesca's voice resonated within the apartment. Darling. Are those sirens? I reached my automobile unnoticed. The home was dark upon my arrival. Francesca's vehicle was absent while she was at Jeremy's. The garage door code had not altered since I was 12. And my father's toolbox was present, concealed beneath holiday decorations and obscured by rusting wrenches and antiquated screwdrivers was a fake bottom in my hands. The fake bottom quivered as I forced it open, revealing a little USB drive, a collection of photographs, and a letter within my mother's handwriting. If you are reading this, I am likely deceased. My phone vibrated. Father is in the emergency room. And blood tests are indicating issues. Police are currently investigating the unknown chemicals. Where are you? Jeremy? I have dispatched another SMS. The connecting door from the garage to the kitchen opened, revealing Noelle, who stood pale and trembling. Through here, she muttered urgently. Why are you assisting me? She also murdered my spouse. Noelle's eyes were, Thomas. My spouse was first my best friend. Although he ultimately took everything from me. Noelle forcefully closed the car doors outside and propelled me towards the rear entrance. The drive contains banking documents, offshore accounts, and other necessary information for the police. She shook her head at me. Someone must ensure her presence here, convincing her she is important. The front door opened, revealing Francesca. The voice resonated throughout the home. Noelle. Why are all the lights off? I exited just as Noelle said. In here. Sister. Dear. I am preparing some tea. My phone illuminated one final time as I initiated my vehicle. This is Jeremy. I held the evidence tightly at my chest. I promised to put the evidence behind me. Mom through the kitchen window. I observed Francesca embrace her sister. But even from this distance, I could discern Noelle's hands clenching into fists, her clenched fists at her sides. The game was not concluded, although we now possessed evidence. And tomorrow the hospital waiting area was alive with the hum of fluorescent lights and subdued conversations, signaling that everything was about to change during talks. Jeremy paced as Wendy and I examined our mother's proof on her laptop, stating that our father's situation was steady after concluding the phone call. He learned that additional tests are being conducted, nonetheless. The physician indicated that the poisoning was detected in time. Wendy directed attention to her screen, highlighting the offshore transfers. Occurrences transpired immediately prior to each demise. Thomas. Marcus. Your mother. And now there are other events. We set up accounts in your father's name. And the detective is on his way. Jeremy glanced at his watch. But we require more than just presence. Financial records indicate that my phone rang with a message from Noelle, who is orchestrating a significant family event. Tomorrow night's dinner indicates she intends to rectify matters, nonetheless. Do not place your trust in her again. Text discovered in her office safe. She is route to the hospital. Do not disclose to anyone that Noelle is bringing other items. I informed Jeremy that the detective would arrive in 20 minutes heavily seated. I cannot fathom how we overlooked it despite our mother's repeated warnings. Francesca and the elevator. Upon hearing the sound, We all glanced above, anticipating Noel, however. Terry emerged. His expression perplexed, bruised, and bloodied. Jesus, Jeremy apprehended him as he nearly succumbed. What transpired? Francesca informed Terry that they inquired about what I disclosed to you. But that is irrelevant. It is significant that he retrieved his phone with trembling hands. I obtained this footage from my security camera last night. Following their actions, the film ended with Fran at Terry's office, searching through his files while on the phone, confidently declaring, "It's under control. He will not speak. The family supper tomorrow will address all matters, indeed. All of them. As previously. She is orchestrating something for supper," I remarked. Wendy proposed a significant mass poisoning, but Terry disagreed. Shaking his head, it is evident that she requires it to appear coincidental, akin to Thomas's boating mishap or Marcus's vanishing. The elevator dinged once more, revealing Noelle grasping a small red notebook. She presented the diary to me, containing every detail and plan inscribed in her own handwriting. She has consistently maintained one as part of her trophy collection. She scanned her surroundings anxiously, inquiring about the detective's whereabouts. Jeremy checked his phone, however. "We must depart now," according to Noelle's voice. "She is aware that I accepted it. She will arrive as if on cue when my phone rang." "Francesca speaker," Jeremy quietly said. I answered. While Francesca's voice sounded smooth, I appear to be lacking something significant, however. "I am aware of its precise location. Maintain your distance from us," she chuckled gently. "Oh. Is my dear sister present as well?" "Noelle has always had an issue with loyalty akin to your mother. We possess evidence that I have articulated everything: the killings, the financial evidence." And another laugh akin to Terry's. "Proof or your mother's evidence tends to disappear unexpectedly. In light of this, you may wish to inspect your father's hospital room. All those oxygen tanks and electrical devices can be extremely hazardous." As Jeremy noted, I am already going towards my father's chamber. "You will not evade consequences for this," I stated. "I have done it 3 times previously. Nevertheless, I am experiencing. Generously invite everyone, including Jeremy, Wendy, and my treacherous sister, to dinner tomorrow night. Conclude this matter appropriately, akin to how you resolved your affairs with your diary and USB disks, Thomas, together with Marcus." Intensified her voice. "Or I might just activate the fire alarm in hospitals, create significant pandemonium during evacuations. As any eventuality may occur." Jeremy rushed back to a vulnerable patient, exclaiming, "There are men outside Dad's room." Tick-tock, as stated by Beat Rick. "Francesca, dinner is at 7, do not be tardy." The line has gone silent. "We cannot await Detective Noelle." She stated that she has connections with individuals in several locations, including the police and hospital personnel, thus, we should conclude this matter immediately. She stood up during dinner, asserting her perspective. "That's suicide," Terry objected. But Jeremy's gaze conveyed a different sentiment. Illuminated. "It is flawless. She is overly self-assured, believing she has us trapped. Yet if we can facilitate her confession in the presence of all attendees, Wendy has suggested arranging distant recordings. Numerous devices are broadcasting to safe servers, and I am aware of all her strategies," Noelle stated, "including every poison and every mishap she orchestrated as I prepared." My phone vibrated one final time. "Do not forget to dress for dinner, darling. It is a significant event. Your mother donned a beautiful blue dress on the night of her passing. Perhaps you possess something akin to it." "Francesca. Tomorrow night," I said, clutching my mother's diary. "We will bring this to a close." Terry cautioned that she has never experienced defeat, nor has she confronted a family she previously attempted to annihilate. Jeremy remarked outside my father's room. I observed one of Francesca's associates monitoring us. He communicated via a phone while smiling. indicating the game was underway. The game was nearing its conclusion. But this time we were acquainted with all the participants. And it wouldn't end until tomorrow evening. One party would depart from the dinner table, during which I donned my mother's blue dress. Francesca's smile briefly diminished when she opened the door, however. "I saw that you resemble her," she said, her voice as sweet as honey. "Come in. The dining room is ready for a feast, with father at the head." The table remained pallid yet upright, with Jeremy alongside it. As Wendy and Terry took their positions, Noelle lingered near the kitchen, evading her sister's stare. While they occupied their seats with wine, Francesca elevated a crystal decanter. "I'll pour," Noelle stated promptly. Seizing it, the sisters exchanged a wordless confrontation of wills, their eyes locked in a captivating struggle during the family gathering. Francesca occupied a position at the other end of the table. "It is unfortunate regarding the... Are you referring to the journal or to the fact that I placed my mother's journal on the table?" Murders began with Beatrice's father. But Jeremy restrained her arm, urging, "Let her speak. Dad. Listen to her perspective." Francesca's laughter resonated like shattered glass. "Murders, my goodness. What an imagination. However, I suppose loss can elicit peculiar responses. Factors influence an individual's psyche, as demonstrated by Thomas's sorrow before his boating disaster and Noelle's experience." Her hands trembled as she poured wine for Marcus before he vanished cautiously. Sister Francesca's smile became incisive. "You remain my family. Just as mother was." I retrieved my phone and played the security tape from Terry's office. As Francesca's voice resonated throughout the room, she announced that she would take charge of tomorrow's family dinner and supervise all preparations, cautioning that anyone could easily alter a tape. My father asserted that while one can falsify bank records, insurance policies, and even diaries, one cannot fabricate memories. His voice, stronger than I had heard in days, reminds me of what Laura, my wife, used to tell me. There was something amiss the day prior to her death. "My dear, you were in a state of distress. Recall the vitamins you provided her." He leaned back from the table. "The identical ones." Francesca's serenity faltered a little. "All my actions were for our benefit. As this family required tidying." Noelle forcefully placed the decanter down. "Resembling the manner in which you tidied up my husband, best friend. You appropriated everything." He was feeble, like Marcus. Laura. Francesca saw Mark as he eventually faltered. "They all inquired excessively." The inquiries exposed numerous flaws. "This family needs firm guidance, which we possess." Wendy utilized her phone to live stream to 3 distinct servers, all captured on video. The police have copies of all materials, including the diary and bank records, provided by Terry. Francesca, the police officer, laughed again. But this time it was a delicate sound. "Do you think I lack the necessary skills? Why do you believe they disregarded Marcus's disappearance and Thomas's dubious accident? Not to mention the police." Jeremy gestured towards the dining room windows, where red and blue lights abruptly illuminated, indicating the presence of federal authorities. Francesca's face became pale upon learning of the several murders occurring across state lines. She extended her hand towards her purse in search of anything, while Noelle brandished a little handgun. "Discovered it in your safe alongside letters from Thomas pleading for his life." "You should have understood," growled my sister Francesca. I replied. "I comprehend." Noelle's voice trembled as she accused. "You are a monster. You killed my husband and attempted to kill me." My new family experienced a sudden intrusion as federal officials entered through the front door, rifles drawn. "Francesca, this is the end. I have risen. Mother can now find repose." She surveyed her surroundings in a state of agitation. She went at Dad, exclaiming, "I'll take you all," but Jeremy intercepted her before she could reach him, causing her to collide forcefully with the table and shatter glasses. Francesca Simmons, an agent, stepped forward with handcuffs prepared. "Apprehended for the homicides of Thomas Wright, Marcus Peters, and Laura Ryan." As well as the attempted murder of Ulysses, I created this family, she declared as she escorted Ryan away. Perfect. No. Dad responded, standing with Jeremy's assistance. You have devastated a family, my wife. My Laura Francesca screamed as they extracted her from the chaos. And I sensed that everything went perfectly. My father's hand rested on my shoulder as he muttered, I apologize, I should have anticipated it. We should have all listened. As Jeremy stated. When Noelle delivered the gun to an agent, her hands trembled as she realized it was truly over. Wendy was glancing at her phone, discovered Marcus's body at the location indicated in the diary. And they are reopening the investigation into Thomas's case. The case concluded when Francesca's screams diminished with the departure of the police vehicles. Father. I walked over to the wall that once held my mother's photographs. We plan to hang them again. I gently whispered that the removal of Laura's photographs should never have occurred. I made contact with my mother's blue outfit evokes a sense of proximity to her that I have not experienced in years. She remains present. Dad, she assisted us in perceiving the truth. Federal officials concluded the collection of evidence. Leaving us amidst the remnants of Francesca's last dinner party, I observed my own family, Father Jeremy, Wendy, and Noelle and Terry, whom I recognized. We would reconstruct. Mother's diary sat open on the table. Her ultimate admonition finally acknowledged. We have resolved her final case. Ensuring her family's genuine security. This morning the sun illuminated the room as I assisted my father in hanging my mother's final image. Her favorite. Depicting our entire family at the beach. Her grin emanated from the photograph, restoring warmth to a home that had been frigid for an extended period. Embodying the ideal father, he stepped back and observed that he appeared better. The color had returned to his face. She always possessed an acute awareness of the location of everything. The doorbell rang, and Jeremy entered with a stack of newspapers. You made the front page again, he informed me. The headlines on the coffee table proclaimed, Black Widow Killer Convicted, and Justice for 3 Families. The district attorney stated that Francesca is facing 3 life sentences. The chance of parole 4. In fact, Noelle entered through the open door holding a cache of old photographs, revealed evidence connecting her to another death in Florida. Before Thomas's father sunk into his armchair, we retrieved my mother's antiquated reading chair from storage, leaving me astonished at how thoroughly she deceived me. She deceived everyone, I remarked. But he shook his head, stating, Not your mother and not you. He retrieved one of the publications that you had used to advocate for the truth. Following Laura's example, had Wendy arrived with Terry, carrying boxes of their own, we would have been progressing slowly. Restoring the house involves reclaiming elements of our history that Francesca attempted to obliterate. As evidenced by these findings, Terry placed his box down. The police informed us that we may retrieve them now that the trial has concluded. The box contained more than just my mother's journals, which played a significant role in Francesca's conviction, however. All those years encompass memories, observations, and affection for her family written in her recognizable handwriting. Wendy presented a photo album that contained documents maintained by your mother from the outset. She sensed that something was up with Francesca. She was safeguarding us, Jeremy remarked, switching through one of the journals. Even after Francesca. Even after IA's frigid voice emanated from the entryway, prompting us all to turn around. It was Francesca. Francesca stood in handcuffs, surrounded by federal officials. An orange jumpsuit had replaced her elegant attire. One agent stated that she was adamant about maintaining her flawless makeup. Retrieving personal belongings prior to transfer to federal prison will be expedited. None of these goods belong to you, Dad. He stood up firmer than I had observed him in months. While Francesca's gaze flitted about the room, absorbs Mom's restored photograph and the retrieved mementos. I have made this place my own, Mother. You never had us, I said that. Mom ensured this. Your esteemed mother. She, so astute was she that she identified the poison in her coffee, understanding the situation when her heart was racing. The agent directed her towards the stairs, urging her to obtain what she had come for. Francesca stated. I have already obtained what I sought, smiling. Albeit the expression was devoid of warmth. She cast one more glance at her most significant failure, the family I could not disrupt. As they escorted her away, she called back. Enjoy your memories are all that remain. No. Noel interjected. Astonishing us all, they possess justice, truth, and one another, attributes you have never possessed. Sister. As the door closed behind you. We remained silent till the police vehicles departed. She is mistaken about you. Wendy retrieved one of Mother's journals. Memories are not your sole possession. Since you also possess Laura's strength and love, her warning preserved your life. Dad approached Mom's photograph, caressing it tenderly. She continues to safeguard us, maintaining our unity. And now the truth of Thomas is known to all. Terry remarked, Marcus. Their families can also heal. I opened my mother's journal to her final entry. If you are reading this, it is you, my beloved family, who initiated this entire adventure. Remain resilient. Unite, the truth will ultimately prevail. Sincerely, Jeremy. I echoed this sentiment as I surveyed the renovated house, adorned with Mom's photographs, which stood guard over us. It finally seems like home again. Dad assembled us all in front of Mom's favorite portrait, while Wendy arranged her. Laura consistently advocated for family photographs, arguing that they encapsulated moments beyond mere moments. They encapsulated affection as the camera illuminated our presence. Father Jeremy, I, Wendy, Terry, and even Noel were encircled by Mother's revitalized presence. Not alone in images and notebooks, but in the fortitude she imparted, the truths she assisted us in revealing, and the family she safeguarded till the conclusion. Spring blossoms flourished in Mother's garden. We had commenced the restoration of her beloved roses, which were once again blossoming and reaching for the sun. Life was re-emerging. Our veracity triumphed over falsehoods, love prevailed over animosity. And my mother's legacy endures in every corner, in every heart, and at every moment. Justice has finally been served. We constituted her ultimate triumph.